Why is it okay to be proud of being black, gay, female, etc., but not white? So, I'll try not to ramble. But let me see if I can help. It's mainly a US thing to have the pride ideals. This is because being gay was illegal. Being black, it was illegal due to many of the same things white men did. And it was the same for women, as it currently is for trans. While a lot of the laws for these were abolished, the ideals were not, because it really didn't happen that long ago. Maybe 70 to 80 years ago? We're barely on the second and third generation since trying to stop discrimination based on people's identities they had no choice in. That being said, let's go further back. Before you had BLM or LGBTQ. When black and native slaves were being used, their history was literally knocked out of them. Their tribes, origin, language, and history erased to make them more workhorses. They weren't seen as humans as much as pets, at best. But you did have German, Irish, Swedish, etc. pride. The reason for their pride groups were the same. At one point, they were not of British or originating colonial descent and seen as invaders on the true American peoples and were discriminated against. As well, not allowed to practice a chosen religion, own land, or hold certain jobs. But as black emancipation started gaining traction after the legal end of slavery, it was easier to discriminate based on skin color. After all, most second-generation kids aren't going to keep their parents' accents when surrounded by a big-ass grab bag. So then it's the white people versus black people. In earnest. Now, for where I get to the point. Having white pride is not okay because it was what was used to keep people and races segregated. By claiming white pride, it's calling back to a time that was very recently about keeping people of color and other creeds from having equal access to basic needs and privileges. Hopefully this makes sense of things and hasn't been too hard to read. Their pride is a kind of defiance. Pride always is a kind of, I made it. Despite all the oppression, discrimination and outright hatred, they are proud to be. The struggle hasn't made or kept them ashamed of being, even though it really tried to. I guess whiteness hasn't ever really had anything to stand tall in the face of. You can be proud of all sorts of stuff associated with white people. But you'd probably just be specific. Proud of your ancestry. Proud of European paganism. Whatever. I don't personally have any use for pride. But I do understand why other people are proud. Historically, white nationalists have used being proud to be white as an excuse for violence and to systematically oppress anyone who wasn't white. Black, gay, women never used their influence on that scale and have a common history of overcoming adversity as a motivating factor to be proud of their race, gender. Black people in America don't know where they come from. That's why you are told be proud of your German heritage. It's information you have access to and don't have to place your identity on the color of your skin. Speaking for the LGBT community, it's because we've been told we're disgusting and unnatural. Because at some point being gay was illegal. And still is in some countries. The only reason they're called black is because they can't narrow it down to Ashanti, or Igbo, or whatever. And even if they partially manage it with modern recreational DNA tests, actual West Africans will reject them. You'd be shocked at how much shit that people in Africa talk about black Americans. It's actually pretty fucked up. So basically, black is all they've got. You, on the other hand, have a choice. Also, as an American in Europe, I can tell you that our concept of white doesn't mean shit over here. It's all about nationality and language. For example, Racist Italians will give you shit for being a Slav even if you look like Thor himself. Honestly, because white is mislabeled, the only thing that unifies white culture is skin, but if you actually look further than that, you will see white culture itself is diverse and varied. A English man can't take the feats of, say, a Ukrainian because they are not the same people. They just have similar skin tones, and that is no reason to group them together. A lot of African Americans probably don't know what part of Africa their family came from, so all they can tell is they're in America and have the same skin and have been treated the same. But in Africa it is very diverse there itself, so if they went there trying to unite the country under their skin color, they would have a tough time selling that to all the different types of people. So TLDR, white isn't a thing you can be proud of, and black is really only a uniting asset in USA 'cause they were stripped of who they really are. I'll be sure to sort this by controversial in a few hours. I really don't understand being proud of something you didn't have a choice about. What if society for a long time told you it was a bad thing? And you were less of a person because of that thing? I think being proud of being any race, heritage is dumb. You can't control it. Having pride for your own accomplishments makes more sense. At least in America. A huge reason for this is that black people genuinely can't tell what countries their ancestors came from. They can't have Ghanaian pride or Nubian pride because their ancestors were kidnapped and enslaved, with no records of where they came from. They didn't get to pass down their traditions to their children the way that many Irish and German immigrants did. So, instead of pride in their nationality, they have black pride. And they specifically have it as a counter for all of the indignity and cruelty that their ancestors were put through because they were black. If you spent all of primary school learning about how historically your ancestors weren't even seen as autonomous people because of the color of their skin, then yeah, I think you'd be entitled to having some extra pride in your skin to make up for that. Of course, there are also a million different nuances to this conversation. But hopefully that's a good start. Because white is not a specific identity. You can be proud to be Irish, Spanish, German, Italian, Russian. But saying you're proud to be white is saying you enjoy an unfair power dynamic, not a heritage. If you really want to learn about the black, brown and white pride associations, start doing research on the prison systems in the U.S. Many inmates in the prison and even jails have brown pride, black pride and white pride tattooed on their shoulders or upper back areas. I first got locked up in the 80s, and that was one of the things I seen on most people inside. Also, growing up in California, there was a huge group of gangs of all colors that represented their race by proudly displaying their tattoos for others to see. I honestly hope that you look into the prison systems and how they have been the catalyst for this topic. Every time people start chanting white pride, it ends up turning into white power. The reality is that, until we've dealt with neo-Nazis and white nationalists, white pride is going to attract all the wrong attention. That slogan has been very much claimed by them. I think the movement of voicing pride to be black, gay, etc. is because whiteness, as well as heterosexuality, have been forces that belittle and oppress people of color or people of the queer community. It's just a response. And it's an incredibly necessary response to hear. Also, I'm a 27-year white straight male for what it's worth, haha. We don't need to hear about white pride. That's all we hear and see. You had a lot of long answers to your question. I'll give you a short one. Anybody who tells you that it's not okay to be proud of being anything, that you are is trying to control you, you should ignore them. I wouldn't say people are proud because they are black, gay or female, but proud of what they achieved despite they were in a bad position from the start. So for example, I am female and I am proud I became an IT technician and proud that I have the highest position in the company I work in and make more money than my male coworkers. It took a lot of work for me, because way back in the past I always met people who just didn't take me serious because I am female. I don't know if black people feel that way too. And it's probably easier to be gay because no one needs to know in the job interview. But you can't hide your color or gender. You should check out Morgan Freeman's stance on Black History Month. Based on these comments, looks like mostly everyone else should too. It's better to not listen to insane, angry, ridiculous people. Do whatever you want and be proud of whatever you want. But personally, I don't take pride in superficial things because I prefer to be proud of my individual accomplishments. The reason you can be proud of being Irish or Italian or Polish but not white is because those are all cultures with their own traditions and things that make them unique. The only thing unifying whiteness across different groups is that it has been privileged and weaponized. Black people had their identities, cultures, names, origins, etc. stripped away when they were enslaved in the USA. So blackness is a unifying cultural experience here.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.